What up, the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. You know what I'm saying? Been on the move. I got this shirt a little wrinkled, you feel me? But don't worry about that. Worry about what I'm saying, you dig? Make sure y'all sign that petition to get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. Now, over in Syria, Turkey has actually began launching aerial and ground offensives over there against the Kurds in northern Syria, at the northern Syrian-Turkey border. Now, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, 16 Kurds have been killed, while Turkey is actually claiming they've killed 100 of them. But this comes like just, a couple days after Trump basically ordered U.S. troops to step aside and let Turkey do their thing. Now, Trump actually said publicly that this is a bad idea, but he defended it by saying like, well, the Kurds didn't help us in World War II. They didn't help us with Normandy, for example. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, if I really did trust Trump, I would think that was some G shit. But honestly, he hasn't shown me enough in his presidency to let me know that he really operating with good intention or on some solid principles. So I don't even want to give him that. We'll see how this turns out, though. It seems like a fucked up situation. Everybody's worried that this is going to destabilize the region. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. Nappy hair, don't care, long hair, don't care, whatever you want to call me, you know what I'm saying? Just don't call me dumb. I'm about to let y'all know what's happening out in this bitch. So check this out. The White House Budget Office has refused to comply with a subpoena that was issued to them, calling for documents related to this Ukraine relationship that Trump has apparently had. All stemming from this conversation that Trump had with the Ukrainian president, where he was calling for an investigation into Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden, who actually sits on the board of an energy company out there. Now, this comes a day after the White House Budget Office refusal to comply with the subpoena issued by the House of Representatives. This comes a day after the White House has sent a letter basically saying they're not going to comply with the impeachment proceeding, and after the State Department has actually blocked Gordon Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, from being in this deposition with 3 House committees. So, House Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff is basically saying like this is just additional strong evidence of obstruction of the constitutional function of Congress. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we'll see how this pans out. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, this Black Fox News report. Letting y'all know, make sure y'all sign that petition to get Donald Trump off Twitter. Continues to be a danger to us, to U.S. troops even, spreading misinformation, putting violating Twitter policies, like all from behind the Twitter account, man. You gotta go find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org. Now, 2020 presidential candidate for the Democrat side, Joe Biden, has officially called for Trump's impeachment. He's among the last of the Democratic presidential candidates to publicly call for Donald Trump's impeachment. Now, if you ask me, the opinion time, you feel me? Like, Biden is backed by big business. Like, let's make no mistake. When he first announced that he was going to, go for the goal, so to speak, he had a meeting at like the owner of Comcast, the CEO of Comcast's big ass building up in Philly, where they was charging exorbitant amounts to even be present there. Like, he's already shown himself, and that's just one of many reasons. Like, he's shown himself to be for people with long money, so, and the wealthiest of society. So they kind of serving the same master. So, but he's even calling for Trump's impeachment. Go figure, though, since this whole impeachment probe is surrounding him and his son. So we'll see what happens, though. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. Hey, yo, part of my shirt, y'all. I know this shit a little wrinkled, a little dirty, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just had to handle my other hustle. I got an LLC out here, you know what I'm saying? It ain't just about media, you know what I'm saying? We do contracting as well. So I had to handle some business hands-on, just letting y'all know. But check this out, though. Make sure you sign that petition to get Donald Trump on Twitter. You can find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. All the President's Women, Donald Trump and the Making of a Predator. This is a new book that's come out, and that's hitting Trump with 43 new allegations of sexual assault and sexual misconduct, basically. He's already dealing with a couple dozen. Now, in this book, with the 43 new different women, you either had a woman in there, Karen Johnson, that said that he hid behind a tapestry while he was at Mar-a-Lago and basically pulled the and just started like forcibly grabbing her and kissing her and all of that, whatever. And it sounded like one of them things where he really thought he was on some player shit, like how he was telling Billy Bush in that now infamous recording when he was on the bus and all of that. Like, he just grabbing bitches and kissing them. Like, motherfucker has no swag, zero swag. You know what I'm saying? But he think that's the way to go, and he think they were really allowing this man to do that. Now, fast forward, I'm saying bitches is turning on you and suing your ass. Green War and Graduation. No lawsuits yet from this book, but I'm sure there will be some to come. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Now, I told y'all yesterday about how that new book is out called Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, that basically outlines Matt Lauer, who used to be the host of the Today Show before a bunch of rape allegations had actually came out about this man rape and sexual misconduct or whatever. But in this new book, it outlines how he had essentially raped this woman, Brooke Nevels, who was co-hosting the Winter Olympics with him back in 2014 when they were in Sochi, Russia. Now, he denied these allegations. The allegations were, it details in the book where basically says that he raped her in a hotel room when they was out there in Sochi. But he has publicly denied that has happened. And then Brooke Neville said this is basically a case study of victim blaming. So, I think that's an interesting response, but nevertheless, like, yo, dude, that's not the only allegation of you doing some like rape shit. You know what I mean? That's the crazy part to me, though. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. You know what I mean? Pardon the swag, you feel me? Don't act like I don't got it. I'm just caught me in between hustles right now. But check this out though. I still gotta let y'all know what's happening. Even when I'm getting another bag, I still gotta get this bag. You feel me? And put y'all on game. So over in Germany, actually, a gunman, heavily armed gunman, he live streamed this shooting that basically took place outside of a Jewish synagogue in the eastern city of Halle. And this is actually during Yom Kippur, which is like the holiest day to the Jews. So they were outside of this synagogue observing Yom Kippur, you know what I mean? The congregants were there. But the gunman then live streams the event. He tries to go into the bus into the synagogue. The door is locked. He then ends up shooting a woman outside. And then he goes to a nearby kebab shop and opens fire. Now, so 2 people end up shot and killed. And this is the leaders of the Jewish community over there. They basically said that there were no security outside of the synagogue, despite there being repeated requests for security outside of the synagogue. Because in Germany in general, hate crimes and anti-Semitic crimes, xenophobic crimes, they've risen 20% in this past year. Green War and Graduation. We'll go to Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Make sure you sign that petition to get Donald Trump on Twitter, man. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube. Lays out exactly with irrefutable evidence why you should be removed from the platform, for putting us and even U.S. troops in danger, to spreading all this misinformation, to even violating just Twitter policies. Like, get him off Twitter. He ain't special. Now check this out though. And if anything, he's more of a detriment because of the power that he has, because of the seat that he has. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. Now, the United Nations has actually accused the United States military of killing over 30 civilians in Afghanistan back in May, when these airstrikes had actually targeted these drug laboratories. Now, the Pentagon disputes that claim because they're basically saying that, all those scientists and all that, the motherfuckers was Taliban. It's kind of like the go-to for that region. But these labs, they were actually mostly producing methamphetamine, or these were meth labs basically. But keep in mind, Afghanistan is the opioid capital. Now, the U.S. has actually spent $8 billion on actually launching airstrikes, trying to break up the drug rings out there in Afghanistan. But like I said, keep in mind, Afghanistan is the opioid capital. You know what I mean? Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report. Pardon the swag. Don't act like I ain't got it though. I'm just trying to let y'all know what's happening. You feel me? Caught me in between hustles. But check this out though. Over in Iraq, now the Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi, he actually said that he's going to reshuffle the cabinet in an effort to essentially quell the massive protests that have been going on nationwide over there. These protests have been going on. They've been getting real ridiculous, right? Over basically government corruption, lack of jobs, lack of like basic public utilities and all of that shit. Like it's getting serious. They're fed the fuck up over there. Now check this out though. There've been government militia that's actually been cracking down on these protests. Amnesty International says that 150 people have actually been killed 150 protesters have been killed in these government crackdowns. Keep in mind that the actual government over there is aiming to, like, they've actually like instilled curfews and, you know, tried to shut down you know, reporters from being able to report, you know, so they're harassing like the media as well out there. But it said that activists are saying that they've actually been people have been shot and killed by snipers out there. So, you know what I'm saying, by government snipers. So we're getting real. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. Over in Algeria, Africa, there's been a lot of protests that have actually been taking place in recent weeks. People protesting against, you know, government corruption, against the army's role in politics, and against the jailing of like political opposition leaders. But even yesterday, 100 students were actually arrested amidst all of these protests. So all of this is taking place ahead of December's election. So we'll see how things manifest in Algeria. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. You know what I'm saying? Pardon the swag, but just make sure you follow the words, not what I'm looking like right now. You know what I'm saying? Between hustles, but still gotta let y'all know what's happening. Feel me? Now check this out. Over in Egypt, I told y'all about Egyptian dissident, political dissident, Alaa Abd El Fattah. This is somebody that stood against the government for some time now, and has actually been jailed for it, then released, and then he was jailed again late last month, late in September. Now, his family is basically saying that he's actually been abused, beaten up, and all of that shit while being in custody. Keep in mind that he was arrested amidst anti-government protests because people want El-Sisi to fuck up out of there, the Egyptian president, and his whole regime, because they're being accused of corruption and mismanagement of Egypt's economy. But since these protests have actually arisen, authorities have arrested over 2,000 people. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So last night in Buenos Aires in Argentina, South America and all of that, they've actually had indigenous women, dozens of them, actually lock themselves inside of the interior of the Ministry of the Interior, where they were basically calling for and demanding that their autonomy and the rights of the indigenous communities be respected. And they denounced what they would labeled the ecocide of their communities at the hands of like racism and patriarchy. So, you know, we'll see how this turns out. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN Report, this Black Files News Report. Over in Honduras, you had hundreds of people that were actually protesting against the President Juan Orlando Hernandez. Now, I told y'all in World Broadcast, BFN World Broadcast number 13, the 2018 wrap-up, where I was rapping about how the Honduran president and his ties to the, you know, coke, basically. His brother being arrested for coke and the national police chief being arrested for so they were basically protesting, accusing him of having ties to and making money off of coke. Keep in mind that his brother, Tony Hernandez, is actually on trial in New York City in the U.S. mainland for having trafficked tons of coke through Honduras that was actually U.S. bound, you know, providing like heavily armed security for these coke packages or whatever. And also keep in mind that he also apparently accepted a bribe of $1 million from El Chapo himself. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So last October, Judge James Boasberg of the Secretive FISA Court, FISA being Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act Court, right? They actually had a ruling last October that was just declassified this week. This ruling showed that the FBI had thousands of warrantless, unconstitutional searches through the NSA, the National Security Agency's vast computer database, which definitely contains personal data of and protected data of U.S. citizens and U.S.'s residents. Now, keep in mind the FBI was even caught out there illegally one day in 2017. In one day of December 2017, they illegally queried the NSA database 7,000 times using people's social security numbers. So this should show you that none of your data in the U.S. is safe. Simple and plain. So, you know what I mean? Get off the computer. Get off the grid. You dig? Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. Days before the U.S. and China are actually supposed to have trade talks, the U.S. actually decides to blacklist 28 Chinese companies, government agencies, and security bureaus over the mass arrest and detainment of Uyghur Muslims out there in China, and has blacklisted these companies and agencies over their roles that they've played in this. This has actually been a mass arrest and having these like detention camps, concentration camps, arguably concentration camps or whatever, of these Muslim Asians. So, you know what I mean? And you would think that it was altruistic means of doing stuff, but with it being ahead of trade talks, it's possibly just a ploy or a business move or a way to have some leverage. We'll see how this turns out. Green Wall graduation.